Welcome to the Hope College Athletics Orange and Blue podcast. I'm Sports Information Director Alan Babbitt. It's been a fun and a privilege this certainly interesting school year to be able to chat with our Hope College coaches and athletic staff and just talk to them about how they're managing everything with their student athletes and their teams in these unusual times. And certainly thrilled today to chat with head baseball coach Stu Fritz. Flying Dutchmen itching, it would be an understatement, to get on the field and play. And we'll be doing that here very soon, and looking forward to having them at Bowie Stadium as well, very soon. Coach, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Alan, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Obviously, it's been so long since you guys have played in a baseball game. You got a couple in last year before, unfortunately, the pandemic came and just disrupted everything. I don't know what the right word is. How would you describe kind of the mood of the team as you get here ready to finally be able to play again?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I vividly remember sitting at our field on March 11th. It was a Wednesday, and news of the pandemic, was starting to build, and we were told that our spring trip was not going to happen. And in a matter of an hour, we had 10 games scheduled for the spring break week back in Michigan. And 12 hours later, we realized that there was going to be no non-league games. And then about 8 hours later, we realized that we were done. And heartbreaking, really, for our seniors. I would say, Alan, that baseball players and coaches, by our very nature, have to be resilient with rainouts and makeups, and especially playing here in the Great Lakes region. We're used to having things postponed or canceled, but never quite to that magnitude. And I tip my hat to our guys, and they handled it extremely well. It was disappointing, obviously, for our coaching staff to just truly have a season taken away from our guys. But I guess if there's a silver lining, it's that everybody else was in the same boat. We really didn't have anything else that we could do. So we took it in stride, but we're ready. We're ready to get back out and get going.
I probably would be remiss if I didn't ask you about those seniors that, graduated, played some great baseball for you, really gave you guys, a lot of wins and really made you a threat here in the MIAA. When you're going to think about that senior class, and what the mark that they made on this baseball team in this college, what's going to stand out to you?
2019 record-breaking year for us with 31 wins, and a lot of that is pointed directly to that group of kids that did not get to play their season a year ago. So special baseball players, but more than that, just special kids, and kids that have given so much to this program, both on the field and off the field. And we certainly don't play the game for certain accolades, but we had a couple guys in that program that would have rewritten some records in our program, and that was one thing that got taken away. And again, personal goals and stuff like that, that's not what we're all about. But at the same time, that breaks your heart for those kids.
As you transition from, the loss of the season to then start preparing for another one and obviously in a time of really a lot of unknowns, in March, nobody knew kind of anything that was going to be a day out. Sometimes it felt like, let alone, a year away in a season. As you built this year's team, what have you tried to do to build culture and practice and with different things that you have to adjust to? Even I know you're an outdoor sport, but there have been challenges along the way. How have you tried to build that and bring in, new freshmen who lost their own high school season? Just kind of how have you tried to manage all that has been thrown at you?
We brought in a very good group of freshman kids, and again, going back to the resiliency of baseball kids, they came in eager and ready to go. We were able to, the NCAA granted us a little bit different type of non-traditional season. So we were able to extend our non-traditional a little bit and got a little more work in the fall. I will say the one thing that we missed just with the small group gatherings and stuff like that is really a true opportunity to bond in terms of new players with our veteran guys. And I guess I'm referring more to the fall for that. We had I think 25 opportunities we used in the fall, which was fantastic to get us back on the field, to get us back going. In terms of our culture, again, I think it probably starts at the top, but 100% it's built from within. And we've got a veteran group this year that they love the game, and more importantly, they love each other. And it's so fun for me to watch the camaraderie and the spirit that our guys have when they're together. And it's heartwarming for me really to watch that happen. And now, just now, I would say our young guys are really starting to hit their stride. They're starting to be a part of this program, and we're fired up to play here in 2 weeks. But the leadership that we have from our senior group and really from all of our upperclassmen on the field, in the weight room, off the field, has been, I couldn't ask for anything more.
As you prepared this season, you've been obviously, on campus and also using SportQuest, an indoor facility here in the area to simulate what you can. Obviously, a challenge in the Great Lakes region is preparing for a baseball season when the weather outside says, no, you're not playing baseball right now. What does practice look like? What have you been doing? I know a lot of early mornings, getting in when you can. What have you done as you guys have prepared for 2021?
We're so fortunate to have a facility like SportQuest in Zeeland. The DeWitt family is the owner of that. Devin Schaefer is one of our assistant coaches, is the manager of that. It's a facility that really is rivaled by very few. We use that facility 4 days a week. And we go 2 mornings a week and 2 afternoons. And when I say morning, Alan, I'm not joking. If I'm not there by 4:30 in the morning, we got kids waiting. And I think if you ask them, they would tell you that they truly enjoy our morning workouts. It's we have the facility to ourselves, and it's just a time for us, again, to bond and to get better. But in terms of our practice preparation, really, there's not much that has changed. We carried 5 more kids on our roster this year due to COVID, really, with some of the roster limitations that we have. So we will do a little bit more mixing and matching in terms of travel rosters, home rosters, that kind of thing. But we're going full steam. And we, this morning we practiced early and we had 7 pitchers throw 45 pitches live. So our kids are getting live at bats. We're doing a lot of defensive work and just really trying to prepare physically for our opener. And, at the same time, the mental preparation, I think, sometimes can be a little bit more difficult. We had a little bit of a hiccup here the last week with some of the COVID-19 stuff, and our kids handled that extremely well. And we're getting back now where we've got a full group, ready to go. And, Alan, I think I would have to say, without going into a ton of details, I can't give our athletic training staff enough admiration and just thank yous for what they've done to keep our entire athletic program healthy, and the number of hours that they're putting in, along with our administrators. It's just been something that we've never, ever had to deal with before. And it affected our program fairly directly here in the last 10 days. And I just can't say thank you enough. And that's something that I want to emphasize. So we're getting back to full strength, and we're ready to roll.
With this year's team, when we're able to finally see the Flying Dutchmen take the field, what are we going to see? What do you see as strengths? What are areas you think are important for this team to give yourselves a shot to win every time you take the field?
Well, believe it or not, you're going to see a fair amount of similarities from the 2019 club, when we've been, 400 and some days or whatever it is, since we've played a game at Bowie Stadium. It's going to be fairly similar. We have a veteran group. We always look to pitching and defense. And positionally, we have 6 returning starters positionally, and got a Spencer Cable, a transfer from Central Michigan. He's a Hudsonville product, has come in and really fit into our program very nicely. So in terms of talent, and I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning, in terms of talent, I think we're very talented. Quite possibly as talented as we've been in my 28 years. Now we have to determine if we're any good. And I mean that tongue in cheek. I think we're good, but it's still about going out on the field and performing. And in our game, there are so many variables that can affect you in a positive way or in a negative way. And it will come down to pitching. And we have a veteran group of arms. El Vasquez had Tommy John surgery a year ago and is returning, and he'll be at the top of our rotation. So lots of familiar faces with some new and some younger kids sprinkled in. Gone is Trey Slancic, who was a 4-year starter behind the plate for us. And Cal Barrett, a senior, is ready to step in to that. But Trace was a leader for us. And so there's a few spots that we have to fill, but we feel really good about what we have coming up.
With obviously you talked about the leadership, the veteran leadership with this group. Have you guys settled on captains? Who's going to lead this team captain-wise?
We have 5 captains this year, and it's always a good thing, Alan, when you have a number of guys that could be, fit into a captain role. And Evan Mayday will be a 2-year captain. Center fielder will hit third for us. It will be a 4-year starter. Evan Becker is a senior. He'll be a captain. Brant Kim, he's also a senior, but he's planning to come back for a 5th year. He'll be our starting shortstop for a 3rd year. Max Gation is a left-handed pitcher, senior. And then Joey Marucci, our 3rd baseman, is our 5th captain. But let me just say a little bit more about captains. I like captains. We have captains. But we talk about co-signers a little bit in our program. We want people to co-sign a loan with us. And that loan is to provide leadership for our group. So we really expect to have leaders, eventually in our freshman class and for sure in our sophomore, junior, and senior class.
And now also invaluable for you is your coaching staff, a new pitching coach, and John Newman, welcoming to the program this year. Talk about your coaching staff and what they're doing to help this baseball program.
I'm lucky, Alan. It hasn't always been that way for me here. I think you have to establish yourself a little bit in the community and some of those things. But Chad Ruby played for me in Iowa, my first high school job. This will be his 22nd year helping me. And I oftentimes will say you don't have to have your best friends on your staff, but it certainly is great when you can call them best friends. And Rube's been my right-hand man since 2000. And really, we go all the way back to 1988 when I first started coaching him. Just does a fantastic job for us in terms of Rube's pretty black and white, and our kids know that, but he has a huge heart and loves on our guys. So fortunate to have Rube, and I'll just kind of go in order of, guys that have been around for a while. Devin Schaefer's, Dev played for me. He's a California kid, 4-year player for us, now owns a baseball business in town. And I think this is year 6 for him with us. And then 2 new guys on the staff, John Newman. John has been just a blessing to our program. He's our recruiting coordinator and pitching coach, and played for legendary Hall of Fame coach Sam Riggleman at Spring Arbor. Sam, one of the very best baseball people that I've ever met. And John brings a lot of those qualities with him. Spent a year at Central Michigan and 2 years at Grand Valley, and has come in and like I said, recruiting coordinator, pitching coach, and he's in the office every day and just really helps with a lot of the day-to-day stuff. And the other thing, Alan, I think I didn't realize is how important it is to have a 24, 25-year-old guy on your staff. Just to build that bridge between some of us that have been here a while and, with our younger kids. And then our last coach is Eric Dawson. and that's a familiar name to our program as well. 4-year starter for us. He's working primarily with our hitters. So every guy on our staff, other than John, has played in our program, and certainly not a requirement, but it helps. It really does help to continue with the continuity, to bring in new ideas, but just to really coach the person first and the player second. And these guys are great at that.
Your schedule this year is obviously a little different. Unfortunately, not able to make that Florida trip, which I know is a highlight, for the program. But the chance to play, you're going to be playing mostly MIAA opponents, including some that won't count toward the league standings, but a chance to get some games in. Just assess this year's schedules and the opportunities that it provides for you.
Yeah, it's certainly different. I think really all the MIAA schools have tried to make the most of that. We're going to open this year at Milliken in Decatur, Illinois. Brandon Townsend is their head coach. He's a friend of mine, and we were just able to put together. We had a weekend trip planned, but without being able to do overnights, we're gonna make a long day of it, Alan. We're gonna drive down and play 2 9-inning games and on a Saturday and come back in the same day. But they have a great turf facility, and I think that we'll get those games in on Saturday the 6th. One of the things I did forget, Alan, with my coaching staff, Jack Nuremberg has been our student assistant for 3 years, and Nerdy, as he's affectionately called, is a blessing to our pitching staff, our pitching coach, and our program. So we're fortunate to have Jack in our program as well. And then from the Milliken series, we're going to try to play a weekend, March 12th and 13th, against MIAA teams, which will be non-counting games in the league. And then the following weekend, we'll go to Grand Park in Indiana and play 4, and then come back. And on the 26th, we'll start our league schedule for real then. So it's, playing the early season MIAA teams. Our focus will really be treating that like a spring trip. We want to play guys on our roster. We want to get young guys opportunities. We want to just see where we're at coming into the games that count.
How do you see this league shaping up? Obviously, the chase for everyone in the league is to try to knock off Adrian. You guys have been knocking on that door. What do you see this year? I know a lot because you haven't seen each other, really in, since 2019. So how do you try to figure out what to expect in this league?
Yeah, we filled out the preseason coaches poll the other day, and I had to, oftentimes I will know other people's rosters as well as I know my own, and had to do a little bit more thinking on that. Craig Randy down at Adrian's a good friend of mine. We've competed against each other for all of our professional career, and we enjoy playing each other. There's a lot of mutual respect. They have a left-handed pitcher that was just named on the watch list for the Golden Spikes Award. And they're the team to beat. And we've had some great games with them. And I hate to think about the number of times that we've played them in the MIAA championship game, but a lot of credit to them and what they're doing in their program. And as you look across the league, I think there's a lot of parity in terms of programs that have just gotten better and guys work hard at it from a coaching standpoint and recruiting standpoint. So the one thing I can tell you is it doesn't matter who you're playing. There is never a game off. And maybe that goes without saying a little bit for our sport because you never know what's going to happen. But when I look at the MIAA, I think there's some really good baseball teams in our league and some really good people.
This is season 28 for you here at Hope College. It seemed like yesterday you were just hitting the 500 win milestone, and you're knocking on the door of 600. For you, what has made Hope College baseball, mean to you after these years of leading the Flying Dutchmen?
Probably, Alan, that question we could sit here till about noon, and I could talk about that, or I could summarize it. I think as a longtime coach, you go through different periods of that time, or different periods of your coaching career. And if I had to sum it up, I would say it's the people. We're blessed here at Hope to have unbelievable facilities and amenities, how we travel, where we stay, what we wear, a second to none education that we can sell. We have a great product to sell to our kids that we're recruiting. But I think nice uniforms and nice buses and great facilities are only just that unless you have fantastic people in it. And for me, and really for my wife and for Tuck, it's been about relationships and it's been about people. We try to sell transformational experiences and relationships in our program. And probably I try to sell that because that's what it's been for us.
Did you always want to be a coach?
Yeah. This is probably a little shallow, Alan, but I'm not sure what else I could have done. I can't pound a nail and I can't saw a saw and I can't fix a car. And I was fortunate to grow up in a family where our summer vacation every year was going to watch the Cardinals. My dad, huge mentor in my life. He passed away in 1994 refereeing a high school football game in Iowa, our second year here at Hope. So, I've been on this journey a little bit without him. My brother Scott was 4 years older than me, standout athlete at Wartburg College in Waverly, Iowa. He was a two-sport athlete, played football at Iowa State for a year before he transferred to Wartburg. But honestly, growing up, I grew up in small town Iowa, and little did I know at the time, Alan, we just didn't have very much to do. So we went out in the yard and we played, and we had friends and we had the big backyard. So probably ingrained in me then. I had an elementary physical education teacher, Paul Youngblood, who was also my high school basketball coach, who had way more of a profound impact on me than I realized at the time. And I got into teaching elementary phys ed in Humboldt, Iowa. Great spot for me to start my career, and coached 3 sports. And then, I firmly believe that our Creator puts us in spots and gives us opportunities. I met Glenn Van Weeren by chance the year after I got done with my grad work, and met him at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota. And he told me about the position here. And as they say, Alan, the rest is history.
Well, I didn't realize Glenn, our legendary men's basketball coach, that's a great assist there. When you say by chance, was he there for something else, or
yeah,
how did you even?
I'll flush it out a little bit more. We had just returned from the University of Northern Colorado, where I did my grad work, and Carol and I took 2 football players to St. Olaf because my college football coach at Wartburg had left Wartburg to go to St. Olaf. So we took 2 kids up, and I saw Coach Canfield in the morning before the game, and he said, "Stu, there's somebody here you got to meet." And we had played Hope in football, Alan, in 1985. I was a sophomore at Wartburg. Hope came out and played us. Blaine Newhouse was on that team, and just some guys that are still in the area. But anyway, Glenn's daughters played volleyball at St. Olaf, and it was Parents' Weekend. And somehow Glenn had talked to Coach Canfield and told him that the head baseball job and assistant football job were open. So, for those of you that are listening, I talked to Glenn for a week one day, and he has been a mentor to me and really opened the door, gave me a path to come to Hope College. And that was in the fall of 1992.
Wow, that's amazing. You never know the impact you can make in places you never even think about. That's pretty cool. And now you go from a a small town kid in Iowa, and obviously college baseball coach now, and we're president of the American Baseball Coaches Association. I know that's an organization near and dear to your heart that you've been involved with for a long time, and especially the last few years as in a leadership role. Obviously, unusual year, but still a lot to work to be done to help coaches across the country. Talk about what you've been working on and with that role and what that meant to you to serve in that capacity.
I don't think it's too strong for me to say that it was a dream come true. Not necessarily to serve in the presidency capacity, but to be involved in that organization. I went to my first ABCA convention in January of 1991 in Dallas, Texas, when I was grad assistant at Northern Colorado, and haven't missed one since. But I remember as a young coach walking around, and at that time we probably had 3,000 coaches there. But I remember walking around, seeing the legends of college baseball, Ronnie Polk and Bobby Bennett, and just guys from big time institutions. And never did I think, hey, I want to be one of them, but stayed pretty involved in the organization, and then had an opportunity to serve on some NCAA championship committees and just met people. And it goes back to the same thing, Alan. It goes back to people. It goes back to relationships. But I met John Casey, who's the head coach at Tufts University in Boston. And we formed a very, very solid friendship. And he was further down the tracks than me in terms of leadership positions within the ABCA. And we think that it's important to continue to get Division III guys into that role. So I was fortunate to have Case that took me under his wing. And the way the presidency works is it's a 5-year deal. So you go from fourth, third, second, first, and then president. And fantastic organization. Our national office was right here in Mount Pleasant for a lot of years. Dave Kylitz was the executive director. His son Craig is now the executive director. But we have grown to having 7,000 coaches at our convention and 13,000 members in that organization.
Imagine just being a caretaker of the game and help coaches. How do you see, as you guys, try to make the ABCA something that means as much to coaches now, young coaches like you were, to now?
The things that the organization provides for our membership has just grown. The wisdom of the people at the national office, but I think it's just something to be involved with your national organization and fostering relationships, getting to know people across the country has really helped to grow our game. And I guess the other thing that it's done, Alan, is it's given me an opportunity, Carol and I, a chance to travel internationally. I've worked with the Swiss Baseball Federation a little bit, and I go over there as an American to talk about baseball, and I leave absolutely blown away, enamored by the Swiss people and the genuine friendships and stuff that we were able to form over there. So baseball is just a vehicle, really. It was just an incredible opportunity for us.
Your interest, you mentioned earlier about your time in being a elementary physical education teachers, where you got started. That's something that educating and physical education still means to you, in addition to coaching. You're an associate professor here of kinesiology with a specialty in assessing future physical educators. Hope has a rich tradition of teachers and coaches, and recently received tenure for that. Just talk about your work there and what how you try to make a difference in that aspect as well.
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes Hope different, there's a lot, but one of the things that I think makes us unique is our teacher coach model. We have a hybrid of that. But when I was hired here a long time ago, we were always teachers first and coaches second. And I don't think that's changed. But the role that I have within our pedagogy department or pedagogy tract here in our office I get to work with some incredible people. Nancy Camster is one of the best. Mitch is involved. Coach Mitch is involved in that. But I get to supervise our student teachers. And I'm able to turn a 50-minute observation into about a 3-hour ordeal because I go into schools where I see Hope grads, kids that have graduated from our program that are out teaching. I enjoy that, being out into the field. I think it helps me stay current. And, I get to see kids in a little bit different way in the classroom versus always on the court or the track or the pool or the field. So it's something that's near and dear to my heart. It's something that Hope gave me an opportunity to continue to do. And I do have a sincere love for children and for, the physical education component.
And Matt, that's something that teaching and coaching is just something that's timeless. That, obviously maybe people have changed. There's some different challenges that come across our way, but it's still that same thing of trying to connect and help a boy or a girl kind of, find their way and grow in confidence as students and then as teachers as well.
And I think the thing we learn as we go along, Alan, you've been doing this a long time. You've been in sports. For me, it's way less about the people that I have an opportunity to impact, and it becomes way more about how they've impacted me. And I don't know, as a young teacher and a coach, maybe I didn't necessarily feel that way, but it's, people use this cliche a lot, but very seldom have I had a day of work here. Losing both ends of a doubleheader, that's work. But the payoff for what we get to do and to be around this age student athlete, it's priceless. I think it's just something that I feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to have done.
Well, appreciate you joining us today on the Orange and Blue podcast. Really excited and looking forward to hearing the sounds. I heard some the other day on the internet from some spring training at Major League Baseball team. So to hear that pop of the glove and the bat, the ball off the bat. I'm an old baseball guy myself. That just means spring is here and a good sound. Good sound to hear.
And the Cardinals re-signed Yachty. I mean, that's huge. I'm a diehard Cardinal fan, and I'm a huge Yachty fan. So that's something to look forward to with watching pro baseball.
Good, and we'll look forward to watching college baseball too. Flying Dutchmen here, getting ready to go here in March and getting back out on the diamond. Thanks, Stu, and good luck this season.
Always a pleasure for me, Alan. Thank you.